No deserto das incompreensões, o amor de Deus a nos chamar, a nos levantar das lutas humanas e enxugar lágrimas de mundo afã. Em Damasco, no portal de luz, o inovidável descendo, sem cansar, na visão celeste se curvar, cantinho celeste se ofuscar, uma luz amiga e entender a razão da vida e fé. Palavra e harmonia, canções maestramente entoadas, anjos de esferas sublimadas, caldeirão e ofuscar, o brilho do sol, padecidos e inspirados. Percorre os caminhos, acalma o gemido dos aflitos, de todos irmãos pequenos, dos sedentos de Deus, de ambos, necessário se faz amar, renovar-se no entendimento. Necessário é trabalhar, ser fiel no pouco e no muito. Necessário é esperar, a esperança é companhia. Necessário é perdoar, o amor mais puro se doa. Brindamos por portal de amor, inovidável descer, forças anjos de segurar, de conselhos e forças sofuscar, a luz da viver, a razão da palavra e harmonia, canções maestramente entoadas, anjos de esferas sublimadas, caldeirão e ofuscar, o brilho do sol, padecidos e inspirados. Percorre os caminhos, acalma o gemido dos aflitos, de todos irmãos pequenos, dos sedentos de Deus, de ambos, dos cruéis e anjos de necessário se faz amar, renovar-se no entendimento. Necessário é trabalhar, ser fiel no pouco e no muito. Necessário é esperar, a esperança é companhia. Necessário é perdoar, o amor mais puro se doa.
Let's close our eyes and elevate our thoughts to God. Let's be grateful for we be here and welcome our friend or the spirit, the good spirits that came here to help us, guide us, and and learn with us. My Let's ask to Jesus to protect us and protect us and our friends that could be here today, and that the good spirits can support and guide our friend Marcio that gonna do the lecture this morning. Amen.
So be it. So good morning, everybody, once more. And we live on this beautiful universe surrounded by all nature. And at one point in my life, I understood that everything comes from God. And there's nothing that we do here actually other than just be discovering all that He created. And but it's not only God that created. We as spiritists, we understand today that, of course, God created all the matter on the way, not on the way that we know, or the planets the way that we know. That was a co-creation, and we know even that this planet here was co-created by Jesus. But He created the matter. He created, let's say that He created the fluid that surrounds us, right? And with the fluid, then they were able to co-create and do the things that we see here, like this beautiful planet where we live in. God also created the spirits, which are us, right? But also is not complete. So all God's creations are not complete, and the whole universe is going to be complete on the way that we give our part to it. And that's the beauty of life. That's why we are here. We are here to learn to love. And yesterday I saw a film that I really recommend because it's very a spiritual film. It was Afterlife, and it started showing on theaters yesterday. And it's about a lot of death experience. You saw it?
No, I want to go. I
Yeah.
was planning to go this week.
Yeah, it's nice.
After
It's
that.
really nice. After that, yeah. And what the main message that, well, I slept half of it, so my wife was blaming me. Half of the film, what
It's a nice date.
I was seeing the film with all my senses. Yeah, that's what
Yes.
But so I'm not sure. But anyways, I'm not sure if I got the full message. But let's say that I got the message that I got. Is like everybody that had this experience, with no exception. Of course, there were some experiences that were described not as good as others. So they even give a number that it was like 23% of the experience were not that great because it was an experience like a lot of fear, the person was feeling that she was dropping and not going up, but it's okay. We study that. And after we leave this life to the next life, we are our conscious. That's all we are, right? And it's still part of our learning that we need to go through. So we go through these phases here on earth, and then we go through the phases on the spiritual world. And that's what we need to do to learn how to love. So 100% of the people that have the experience said, yes, we are here, immersed on this full ocean of love to learn to love ourselves and learn to love others. And the ones, all of them came back, of course, right? This is after that experience. That's why they were able to tell us what they were feeling. All of them said, I got to work better on this learning process of love. So all of them was pretty much sure about that. And that's what we are doing here, right? We are learning to love. As we progress and we learn to love, we have more free will. And as we have more free will, we should use it for good. But sometimes we don't use yet our free will to good. It's okay, it's just part of the evolution, right? But at one point, you gotta think our responsibility to get them to this place, because that's what we are meant to. We gotta get here, So maybe one day, yes, we're gonna be taking care of the full planet. Who knows? Maybe 10 million years, 100 million years from now, we don't know exactly. But every one of us, we start from one point and want to progress all the way to here. Why not think of that? And he's not done yet. I only say that because he said that, right? He said, I still, like, you guys can do all the things that I do and much more. So he's not done yet. He's still something that he's still keep moving, So it's infinite. It's eternal, right? But we are not alone on this process. God has sent it to us all kinds of help. So 6,000 years ago, there was the prophets, and we can remember Socrates, Plato. Then we have during the time of Jesus Christ, there were so many here helping us, and that is a continuous process. So we are never alone. So the higher spirits that reach the higher spheres of life, they come back to help the ones that are still working. And that's why where we see the progress of the universe being made by us, by the spirits. And so when you go on what John said to us, he said, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. And the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made, and without him nothing was made that has been made. The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth. So he came here to prepare the place where we live today. From the Word of God that was transformed on all the things that we see today, all the nature that surrounds us. And that's the beauty maybe of life, That's why people were translating their experience of after death on a full process of learning to love. But that's probably is the meaning of life, is to learn to love and take our actions as co-creators that we are on the universe where we live. And there's no better experience for us or a better way to learn that other than the experience that the spirits bring to us, right? That's why today we are blessed with all the books that Emmanuel wrote to us through Francisco Cândido Xavier. And we are blessed for all the teachings and everything that we study from him. So that's the purpose of this lecture today. It's like go through the process of Emmanuel, and because he opened his full life to us, to see his progress as a spirit. And let's go through the teachings that we can have, just looking the things that happened to him and making a comparison to what Jesus came to teach us. That's what I'm proposing here today. So we go back on the time where it was not the first incarnation of Emmanuel, but it's the one where he started writing on the books. And this incarnation is related to the book 2,000 years ago. I don't know if you guys read this book.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. You too? I already read. So you know a little bit of the story already, right? During that time, the Roman Empire was like they owned the world, right? So you can see they are surrounded on red. Of course, nothing here there was nobody here, right? There was people on here, yes, but you can see all the reds was the Roman Empire, and then there was, of course, Asia here, where China is, the Japanese, right? These are different cultures, but they own like half of it when you look when you look at where there was people around this planet, right? So Emmanuel during that time he was a Roman senator. So he was. I used to say that he was like the owner of the world during that time. So it's a big challenge, you know. It's not easy. We know today that the more power that you have, more you're going to be tested probably on what you're going to be tested on your humble, you know, your humility. So that's why you're being tested on it too. And as a Roman senator, we are talking on the year 33. he, he, he his name was Publius Cornelius Lentulus, right? He showed up that he was probably on his 30s, and he was happily married during that time. He was a good Roman, and you know that the Romans back on these days they value a lot the family. Was not. It's surprising because sometimes we think, oh, they, you know, they're kind of crazy. There are all these parties, but it was not exactly like that. They value a lot of the family, so it was really important. So he was well married. He has a family. He has during that time a little daughter, right? And she was. Let me see here. She was only 7 years old, but there was a sibling coming on the way during that time. But she, young as the age of 7 years, she was already sick. So she has Hansen disease. What some of today, today we call Hansen's disease. Back on these times they call lepra. I don't know if the translation is the same.
Leprosy.
Yeah. Leprosy, say yeah.
Leprosy.
Leprosy. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yeah. So can you imagine so just let's put on context that leprosy was something believed that during that time that it was like a huge punishment, you know. So why can you imagine his head? Why my daughter, I'm the owner of the world, and why my daughter has leprosy? What she did wrong? She's just a young person, you know, she has 7 years old. Because that was like considered like a punishment for people. So you got leprosy when you don't do good things or you did bad things, and then you got that. So it was really hard for him to understand that, and it was really hard, I can imagine, for him to manage the daughter's disease on the Roman Empire. You know, he was like a big boss there, and how your daughter has this, you know, and they were trying to cover up things. But at the same time, there was no way to cover up because leprosy is something that you can really see on the person, you know. So I can imagine how hard it was for him. So during that time, Emmanuel, the senator, he has a very good friend of him that he has a very high post also on Rome during that time. The name of his friend was Flaminus Severus, right? And he suggests to the senator to take a trip to Palestine, to Judea, and establish himself there. That was Roman was already occupying the Palestine during that time, right? And he said, you know, it's like outside of Rome, go there, you know, maybe that will help heal your daughter during this time. And he he accepted that and he said, yeah, okay, let me try that, and I'm gonna move to Palestine and see what's gonna happen there, right? But getting there in Palestine, it looks like the things didn't heal better, you know, and his daughter became more and more sick. And so he was together with his wife, and at certain point, his wife already heard about Jesus Christ because they were living at the same time, right? And she was always suggesting to him, why you don't go to speak with Jesus and ask him to heal our daughter? And he said, no, that's impossible. I'm the owner of the world. I'm not going to talk with somebody with no study and someone that's a Galileo that is from this place here where we conquer. We are the conquerors here, right? We own them. That's what it was going on through his mind, right? And he said, no, there's no way I'm going to do that. But he was seeing the decline of his daughter, right? He was seeing how much suffering she was going through. But he, of course, his pride didn't allow him to go and to talk with Jesus. But one day, the senator was together with the daughter, and he was on the side of the children bed, and he asked her, little one, what would make you sleep better? I will buy you many toys and novelties, and I will send a messenger to Rome. Tell daddy what you desire. So you can see here that his instruction of, I can give to you whatever you need to related to the matter, right? I can buy you anything that you wish to have, right? But the answer was not exactly how we was expecting. So after a visible effort, the little one murmured with a tired and almost impressible voice, Daddy, I want the prophet of Nazareth. And that was the only thing that he was not ready to provide to her, And can you imagine, isn't that our life? Life guides us on a way to do the things that you got to do, but most of the time it's not easy. It's through, some kind of suffering, or it's because you're still blinded by your ego, and because of your ego, you cannot accept some kind of stuff. And that's exactly, we can see here, and we can see that it's exactly what the case was going on, what was going on here. But the next day, he was thinking about what the daughter said. And of course, he was thinking also about his wife and what she was asking for him, right? So he decided that yes, he was going to meet with this Nazarene. And when he was there, of course, he went through the night. He didn't went through the day because he didn't want to be seen. So he just went on the shadows. And the first dialogue that they have together, and Jesus said to him, Senator, why do you seek me? It would have been better if you had saw me publicly and in the brightest hour of the day, so that you could acquire once and for all the sublime lesson of faith and humility. So look at this, right? He said, you should have come during the daytime, but not to help me on doing what I'm doing here, but for your blessings. So you could acquire what you have a lack of. That is faith and humility. And this is so much important that when we think of Jesus, this was the first lesson that we have from him was on the moment where he was reborn on earth, right? So he was reborn on a place of humility. Everybody was surprised with that. Like we have a passage of Nicodemus saying, just thinking through him, Jesus was a baby on his hand. And Nicodemus was saying to him, I don't understand what you're doing here in this place. You're supposed to be the Messiah of the world. You're supposed to come on the empire. You're supposed to come here through the Caesars. And why you came like that, right? And Jesus was thinking and answering back to him, but he only understood the answer when he was past it already and he was back on his spiritual life. And Jesus was saying, well, I came to bring love on the hearts of each one of you. I didn't came to do something between the Caesars. I didn't came to conquer nothing other than the heart of each one of my brothers and sisters. Then, but let's go back to the talking of the senator and Jesus. Publius could express nothing but his copious tears, thinking bitterly on his daughter. So he was already crying, right? I came to fulfill your wife's faith and love, and it's not your sentiment that saved the leprous and the helpless daughter, but the world's knowledge. So, of course, Jesus healed his daughter, but it was based on the wife's faith, not his faith. He was not ready to receive nothing from her. So we can understand love, and we always talk about that. It's one of the easiest way and one of the things that God help us through is through these angels that He sent to her from time to time. And Jesus is the biggest of them that we know. But you gotta do something inside yourself so you can accept and you can live on it. Like the senator here, he was not ready for it. So can you imagine how many of us maybe we met with Jesus? We don't know. Maybe we were not ready for it. Let's say that Jesus come back today. Actually, he came yesterday, 150 years ago, mostly, as the counselor. And he talked again to us through the books. And he talked again through the gospel. And we were reading last week, actually, the chapter that is Jesus talking as the counselor for us. And we can see his words were the same, but more adapted to the life that we are having here today. So basically, he was saying the same things. But first of all, we got to accept him so we can live on his path and on his way. Emmanuel was not ready for that. But even though he went back home and he saw his daughters healed, and suddenly he saw that and he just forgot that he met with Jesus, and he didn't accept that it was Jesus that healed him. And then we can understand maybe what Matthew say to us. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Who are the poor in spirits? The humble. If you're not humble, the kingdom of heaven cannot be yours. You will not be allowed to enter it because you're not ready. You still didn't found the seeds of love that each one of us have inside your heart. You're not ready to listen to him. But like the example that we have, Emmanuel's wife was ready, and she was blessed with his siblings. And that's the thing that we gotta keep in mind, understanding. Why poor in spirit? Last week also on this place here, we were having a discussion about Eleni bring something that she said that she worked on a very big bank here, and they don't listen to others because she mentioned it was like the third or the fourth bank on the I don't know on the world or of the United States.
I think
The
she
world.
mentioned
The world, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So they don't listen to others. They like to do their stuff by their own. These are the ones that don't have humble. Mm-hmm. The highest point that you are, on the matter, is your lowest point as a spiritual being. The less you're prepared to learn, the less you're prepared to involve on your morality. But if we continue to the life of Emmanuel, on his way to the Palestine, also something happened to him. And a young boy that was on the way of where his family was passing through. It's not exactly explained, but it seems like the boy was playing or throw a stone, and the stone almost hit, it didn't hit his wife. So, as the senator, you know what he did? He stopped at everything and he punished the boy. He punished him with the horrible scene that we know that they do. So he how to say he
Whipped.
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 Wept.
Whipped.
Whipped. Thank
Is
you.
she caught?
Yes. He whipped him, and up to the point that his wife asked him to stop. And after that, he did the worst thing possible during that time. He condemned the boy to slavery. So he took the freedom of the boy and he condemned him to be working on the boats of the Roman boats, and that was the worst thing that you can do at that time. And why he did that, when we study the reasons, he was so afraid of going to the Palestine, because you imagine Palestine was a place where the Romans just conquered it, so they were punishing everybody, So even his friends said to him, when you go there, you gotta be really strong, Don't show weakness to nobody. Not showing weakness, it's a reflection of your fear. We are confronted to fear on our everyday. The point is how we can go through fear and don't do bad things and acquire the lessons that we need to acquire to be a better person. Who lives on this planet that doesn't go through fear on its life? It's impossible. Right? But we need to manage fear so we can use it on a good way for us and not on a bad way. So again, he used it on a bad way and he punished the boy. The next day, he received a visit of an old gentleman, and it was the father's boy. And the father's boy, his name was Andrea de Gioras, and he was asking for forgiveness. He was saying, I know that you punished my boy, but that's not fair. He's a nice boy. I don't know exactly what happened on that day, but I ask you that you forgive him. Don't let him stay on the slavery on the boats, And then Manuel, again, remember his friend, he was very, very tough. And he said, go away of here. I'm not going to change nothing that I've done. What I've done is done, and it was correctly done, and that's it. And that's what happened on that day. Oh, here is a little bit of the dialogue between them. Most honorable Senator, I am Andrea, the son of Joras, a humble and impoverished laborer. Even through numerous members of my family hold important positions on the temple and the practice of the law, I dare to approach you, pleading for the release of my son Saul, who was being imprisoned for 3 days by your order and sent directly to the perpetual bondage of the galleys. I implore your mercy and compassion. But the senator didn't give that to him. So after that, we have something really bad happen to the senator. His second son was already born, and one day the son was kidnapped from inside his home. So we know, reading the book, that the kidnapping of his son was orchestrated by Andrea of Joras. that father that didn't receive forgiveness and act like we mostly act today, trying to do punishments to other ones, to the one that hurt us, right? That's what we do today. That's why we are still living times of war, right? Somebody throw a stone on us, what do? We throw another stone. The problem is that today are not more stones, we just throw rockets. We blow people. That's what we do. And it's easy sometimes to talk about that because we are not directly suffering it. But it's during this time that we gotta think on ways to prepare ourselves because we live on a world surrounded by evil. And that's where we gotta be so we have the learnings that we need to have. Because accept or not, we are evil. We have more evil inside of us than goodness. We are still through the process of trying to bring more goodness than evil to our day by day. But it's not like that. We think more on us than on the other ones. You know, if we are confronted on the same situations of the senator was confronted, I will not be surprised that we react on the same way. Isn't that what's happening exactly today? And most of us will say, yeah, you know, maybe Israel have the right to do the things they're doing because they were attacked. That's what we are. That's what the politicians that represent our evil are doing. That's what we deserve. So why are we here? To learn from that. To elevate our morality. To learn the simple thing that Jesus asked of us. Don't do to others the things that you don't want to be doing for you. Very simple as that, but we don't understand that. We don't understand forgiveness. When he said that to Peter that you gotta forgive 7 times 70, we didn't understand the importance of that yet. That's the words that we have on the book. If the cursed Romans enslave our children without mercy, we can also enslave their wretched descendants. That's 2,000 years ago. But this you can apply exactly to today. That's the way you used to think. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. What is being meek? Is it to be submissive to the plans of God? Sometimes we don't like the plans of God.
I don't know the translation of meek.
Meek, submissive.
Submissive,
Accepted.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't it through our lives? How many steps we don't like? We don't like to the point that sometimes we blame God about it, right? Like a disease, nobody likes to be sick, right? Nobody, I was talking about the COVID came on my mind. I had COVID a month ago, and so I was not happy with that. And I was, you know, what I was doing inside my mind, even with all the studying and being here every Sunday, I was doing what? I was not being meek. I was talking with God on the way. Why I'm sick? I did nothing. Why I'm feeling sick? I got a work to do. You know, I cannot go to the Spirit Center. What's your meaning with that? Why I'm sick? That's my thought. So why? I was being what? Right? I was not being meek. You know. So I was, the right thing to do is, okay, what I need to learn from that. Of course, on the second stage, I start thinking about it. Okay, what I need to learn, you know, from that. And there was a lot of stuff that I learned from music, of course. There's always things to learn, right? So we only will inherit the earth if we understand and we have faith on God. Because our day by day here is not easy. It's really hard. Most of the stuff that we confront here, that we face, they're not good. They're not easy. But that's what will make us stronger and better persons. If you accept it. If you don't accept, you're going to be like a runaway, just leaving one problem for other, doing things, bad things to others, receiving bad things back. And receiving bad things back is not a punishment. It's just a process of learning. It's like you've got to repeat this year because you didn't pass the class. That's it. You got to do it again up to the point that you understand it. So if you're feeling too much hurt, too much pain in life, it's a good reflection to have, Maybe I should change something. Because if the situations keep coming the same every time, maybe that's something that you got to think about. But on this lesson of Emmanuel, blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. We gotta fulfill our heart with peace. We cannot act as animals anymore because we are trying to move away from being an animal to being a human. That's a hard process that we're going through. It's not easy, I understand that. But we still act a lot as animals. And we start from there, being peacemakers. So what's the relation between a peacemaker and a meek? A peacemaker like Andy was meek enough to accept the punishment on his face of all the English that were trying to, to keep them as a colony. Remember that, the story of Gandhi? Remember that he lined up all his people through the guards of the British Empire during that time. And they were just being hit and they were falling on this road. And he has not a single gun with him, not even a single stick with it. He was just going in front and being punished by them. That's why if you don't accept the things that God has prepared to you to learn, you cannot then be a peacemaker. You're going to act like we're acting today. Somebody send me a bomb on my head, I will send two on their head. Back. And that's why we keep the world the way it is, full of wars, full of anger, people killing each other. And then we keep thinking of things, how we solve that. We got to stop the spread of the guns, or we should not stop that. That's part of our constitution, right? It's not the right discussion. So we were not discussing about that. We should decide by your own to be a peacemaker and not have a gun at home. That's what Jesus tried to teach us. Anything other than that is you're just trying to go around, Oh, if I don't have a gun and somebody come and kill my family, be meek. It's hard. It even looks like the way that I'm talking, it looks like, oh, you're crazy. Well, this is his words, it's not mine. What he did when he was being crucified, he was fighting back. What he did when Peter fighted back and cut the soldier ear. He put the ear back and he healed them. Oh, you remember that? Yeah. But his life continues, and the pain through his life was being continued. So we have the family already set it up on Jerusalem. And during that time, the governor of the Judea was Pontius Pilatus. Right. And as soon as the family of the Emmanuel got there, what happened is like his wife, Livia, was constantly being, how's the right word? It's Pontius Pilatus was like he wanted to have an affair with her.
Uh-huh.
Sexually harassed.
Yes, she was being sexually harassed. Thank you, Mike. That's exactly what was going on. And at the beginning, Emmanuel don't even know about it, you know. But she has these horrible situations where Pontius Pilatus was always inviting them and was harassing her at every single moment, you know. So at one moment, other people surrounding them start saying to Emmanuel, "Oh, you gotta open your eye, you know. Maybe something is going with your wife." And because Emmanuel didn't have enough faith, he probably didn't even know how to pray because he had like for Romans they had like 100 gods, so it's hard to keep your faith on one thing if you have 100 gods, you know. And when he started listening to all of that, he blamed the wife. He was losing faith on her. Actually, he was doubting. He was thinking that she was doing something wrong, you know. And so he started behaving different. So sorry guys, maybe I jump on here. I want to see something. Yeah. So he started believing that, yeah, maybe the governor was trying to have a romance with her and she was accepting that, you know. And he lived for years with this bad feeling. And what he did was that he stayed married, but he put her away of everything. And she was not even allowed to have the connection with their sons anymore. So she was living in the same house, but totally separate, you know. And that was for long, long years. That was a long time that everything was happening on that way, you know. At one moment, he received a guy at his home. There was something related to a guy that helped him because at one point they moved from Jerusalem to Kauffmann. And this guy came and said to him, "I will say to you that the one that was responsible for taking your son probably was the government, because I seen this on the past. Your wife are having an affair with him, and when you decided to go back to Rome, he probably took your son, so you stay here, so he can keep his affair." And Emmanuel was, okay, yeah, I see that happening, you know, he just jumping in it, you know, because he didn't have the understanding, he was not able to pray, right? And he just jumped into this black hole. And he was living with her for a long, long, long period of time, really believing that she was guilty, right? But then we get on the day that Jesus was being tried. And we have a very nice description of that on the book. So the first thing that happened on that day is the Pontius Pilatus immediately called Emmanuel to the court and said, "We have a big problem here. You know, we have this person here, this Jesus of Nazareth, and we have this situation with the Jews. I don't know what to do. What we're going to do here? We're going to blame him, or we're going to crucify him." And then they come with all the things that we know from the story. They send him to another person to decide, this other one sent it back, and all that. But during all this time, The only one person that maybe we have notice of that was on the side of Jesus and really trying to do something for him was Emmanuel's wife, Lydia. She walked through the palace and asked to see the governor. And the person that received her put her on a special room where the governor probably has his affairs. You know, they call it the perfume room. And of course, when Ponce Pilatus got there, he was already, maybe it's my opportunity here. And she asked about to him to free Jesus, but he didn't do that. He was just trying to harass her again. And the other lady that was with the senator, Emmanuel, asking him, come here to the window and show his wife walking away of the palace through the side door. So his thoughts, his bad thoughts about his wife was just stronger and stronger. And he lived it that way almost to the ends of his days. But after years and years, at one point, because she was like a very high spirit, so she was accepting all these punishments from him and not still being peaceful with him. So she was not fighting back to him. So at one point on his life, he started to see things differently, and he decided to forgive her. He had a very good friend, and the very good friend, on the first moment that he said all that to her, he said, "Oh yeah, keep your eye open. She probably is a problem, you know." At the end of his good friend life, he went back again to her and asked her the same question, and she was the first one that said, "Emmanuel, pay attention. Maybe she's not what you're thinking she is. You know, I see her now different." So he started changing all that, and he took the decision to forgive her. On inside himself, she doesn't need to be forgiven. She did nothing wrong, right? But inside himself, he decided, okay, I'm going to be together again with my wife, and I'm going to try to live a happy life together. But it was too late. He made the plans about having this talking with her during the day, and he even reached to her and said, "Okay, I need to talk with you tonight." And she said, "Okay." But on that day, during the evening, she was a prisoner, and she was sent to be killed on the circus. The circus where Emmanuel was present that night. And he saw his wife being killed because she was a Christian. And he was never able to talk with her during his material life on earth. And he kept that regret for the end of his days here on earth. For me, there's nothing harder than that. It's the moral pains that are the harder ones. It's not the material pains that are the harder ones. These are the harder ones. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. This is exactly everything that Emmanuel did not have during that time. He couldn't be merciful with himself, with his wife. He didn't have a pure heart. Because if you have a pure heart, these things that come outside of your life will not hurt you. If you're able to pray and to look and to seek, these things will not hurt you. It's because you don't have a pure life that these things come to you. And that's exactly what we are doing here on this planet. We're trying to learn that. Mercy consists of forgetting and forgiving. He was not able to do that. Even though that he think, okay, my wife is, she did wrong things. He was not able to do the things that Jesus teaches. You gotta forget, you gotta forgive. You don't need to love that someone that did something bad to you, but what you need is not to wish that person other bad things. And then we have the message here of Chico Xavier. We are never abandoned in the events of our journey. Suffering is invariably minimized for each of us. Everything is renewed for the benefit of all, and God always grants us the best. Suffering is invariably minimized if you're open to it. If you're not, we're not. But if we look for the help that God always has sent it to us, then yes, your life will become a little easier. On the final days of the senator, he passed away on Pompeii. He was burned on the eruption of the Vesuvius, the volcano there. He was already blind because there was a final fight on Jerusalem where he was there, and they put iron on his eyes, and so he was totally blind during that time. But he was start to be thinking on Jesus at the moments that he has together with the Master. He was starting to transform his heart and to being able to receive a little bit of love, to love himself and maybe start be loving others also. So on his final days, he was remembering the words of Jesus to him. Jesus said to him that all the powers of your empire are quite weak, and all its riches are very wretched. On the beginning, when Jesus said that to him, you know his answer to him? I say, no, you don't know who I am. We are the owners of the world. What are you talking about? So now in Pompeii, on his last days, he will start to think about what Jesus said to him. That his kingdom here on earth was not a kingdom, was something built over evil. That the real kingdom is not here, it's the kingdom of God. Then we have this final reflection from the own person, Emmanuel. Atonement would not be necessary in the world for the refinement of the soul if we understood goodness and practiced it through our deeds, words and thoughts. Deeds, words, and thoughts. Look how important is that, right? Sometimes we think this is not important. If it's true that I was more condemned to the torment of blindness, perhaps I could have avoided the completion of this task if I had forsaken my pride to become humble and a good man. How blindness is important for maybe a lot of us. Because it's through the blindness that sometimes we are able to see other things that our ego don't let us see through our own eyes. That's not only why I mention that is because that's not only the story of Emmanuel, but it's also the story of Paul. Remember Paul?
Mhm.
When he met with Jesus on the desert, he fell from the camel, and he was suddenly blind. Jesus asked to Ananias, who was the man being persecuted by Paul, to heal him. I don't know if you guys remember that story. And when Ananias healed him, there was something falling from his eyes. And then suddenly he was able to see again, but see through other lenses, maybe the lenses of love. That's what Jesus was asking him. So blindness is something important. But also important is to us to understand that God make a better word for us through ourselves. That's the main point on here. Through our own people, through Ananias that healed Paul, through you, through me. God reaches each one of us on our needs through our own people surrounding us. Jesus Christ, the Son of God, the highest spirit that we ever heard about, came here together with us and used a lot of other persons surrounding him to make the things that he did. 12 apostles, hundreds of disciples to spread the word. He was not working by itself. There's a reason for that. You are the salt of the earth. Let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to the Father who is on high. We are the salt of the earth. Each one of us. And that's how we get responsibility of working together on this beautiful universe where we live. Understanding the power of love, we will transform this place to a better way. Because we are the salt of the earth. That's what we have today. Thank you so much, guys. Hope you enjoyed.
Thank you.
And these are the books that we use it to do all that. So let's do a final prayer. Almighty God, thank you so much for the reflections that we had here today. We want to give a special thank to Emmanuel to let us study and learn from his past lives. Thank for all the spirits that help us every single day of our lives. Not solving our problems, but giving us guidance, giving us patience, helping us being meek, helping us forgive our brothers and sisters which we live together on this planet. Thank you, God, for everything. So be it.
So it is.